Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks for joining me today. I'm back with a new layout for the Cocoa Vanilla Studio design team. And for the past week or so, everyone's been focusing on seasons, and my favorite season is summer. If you follow me, you know I love bright colors and I love scrapping summer type photos, and so I pulled out the Hello Sunshine collection, and I've already used it a few times, but I have a lot of it left. And I'm going to scrap this picture of me and my husband. We were in Aruba last year and we were having lunch at a little beachside restaurant, and I'm going to use this cut file. Well, it's not a cut file, but I designed it in my Silhouette software, and I used a font called Bromello. It's very, very pretty scripty font, and I just created the word island and welded the letters together and made it nice and big, and I'm going to use that as part of my title. So I'm going to use this pattern paper as my background. It's mostly white. It's got little tiny triangles on it, and it's excellent for a background page. So I'm going to smudge some gesso on that to blend out some of the triangles and to give me some white space that's protected, because I'm going to add a lot of liquids to it. So what I'm doing here is, before I start a project, I always think about what's my color scheme going to be. Well, my first instinct is to look at the picture. You know, my husband's wearing a yellow shirt, and it's got kind of a golden tint to the photo because of the sun and the way I edited the picture. So I'm going to start with that color. And then in the collection, there's a really pretty shade of blue. And so I thought I'm going to go with those two colors to start. And I'm using shimmers. The first one was a golden yellow color called Glorious Day. And these are two, I believe one of them is a creamies and one of them is an aqua hues. Just two different colors of blue. I'm going to mix them together and just paint them onto some plastic and smudge it down. This is, to me, is one of the best and fun and easy and quick ways to get a watercolor effect on your page. It's a different look than using a brush. You can see how it kind of smooths the paint out, but still gives it a messy, artsy, abstract look. And I love how that looks. I love that effect. And the gold, when it dries, it's going to be very shimmery, and it's more on the yellow side. It's not brassy gold, it's more of a yellowy gold. So I'm going to add some splatters and just kind of play around. I'm going to decide what to do with Island, and I'm going to color it. I just cut it on white cardstock, and I'm going to use those same blue colors and just give it a coat of blue, because I can't make a summery beachy pool layout without a pretty blue color. I think they all have blue and yellow on them because it just makes me think of the sun, and it just sort of makes the whole island beachy feel that much more, what's the word I'm looking for? It just stands out, and I think it kind of, whenever I have a sun or something that represents a sun on my page like this, it sets it off and kind of completes it. And I don't know, I just always want to have some kind of sun or clouds or something on there. So I just tore a little bit of that sun ray paper. I believe it's called Solar Flare. And, you know, in previous layouts, I've made it a lot bigger, and then I've used a stencil. But I was just going to try to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to cut the white parts out so you can see more of that mixed media background through the sun rays. And I just wanted a little hint of sun. And at first I thought, I don't really like that. It looks kind of like a crooked, wonky sun. So I toyed with tearing that off or just using it. I chose to keep it on there for now, just to see if I can enhance it and make it look a little bit better, because I wanted it to still be artsy and messy, but just give the vibe that, hey, there's a sun back there. And I think that the small piece of paper that I used does that. So once I start to add my embellishments, some of that background's going to get covered up, and so I want to make sure that you can see plenty of the blue coming out from behind everything. So I went in and added a little bit more over to the left. And I just tore it. You can see there on the sun ray that's on the left, it's torn. It's not even straight. And I kind of wanted it to be that way. I just kind of wanted it to look kind of haphazard, but still represent a sun. And I really wanted to use that beautiful sticker that's got summer and rainbow colors. I've been eyeballing that for a while, and I thought, you know, I'm going to make that work on this layout. And now I'm going to just start to play around with some things. When I create an island type layout or a beachy layout, it just makes me think of all things tropical, and those flowers just scream at me as being tropical. I love the colors. They just look like something that you would see in the islands on you know, bushes everywhere you go. So I thought I'm going to incorporate those onto my layouts. And I really don't use those type of flowers a lot. It's been a long time since I've used really dimensional flowers, but I felt like they just worked with this. And now I'm just adding in a few more tones of blue with the gelato, just smudging it down. And now the same thing with the yellow. And the smudging, I know I say this a lot, I hope I don't sound like a broken record, but the gesso really allows you to smudge very, very nicely, very easily with your fingers, especially when it comes to gelatos. It will still smudge if you don't use gelato, or if you don't use gesso, but it doesn't look as smooth and it's not as easily blendable. So I'm just continuing to add color here and there where I think it needs to be. You know, I'm just going to sort of move everything around and try to see what I like in what spot. And I pulled out the ephemera die cut pack for this collection over on the left, and so that big die cut of flowers over on the left, that's from the ephemera pack. And I'm going to play around with a couple of other embellishments here, die cuts, to see what I like. I'm going to add that frame behind the right side of the picture just for an added pop of blue, and that little So Much Fun piece. Now this paper, I wish I had a ton of these sheets because I only have one, and you can see the flowers are beautiful and they're perfect for fussy cutting. So I'm trying to salvage every little flower I can, and I wanted to kind of echo that deep reddish pink color. So what I'm going to do is hand cut the word vibes out of different pattern papers, and that's going to be my title, Island Vibes. And I'm just eyeballing it. I didn't want to fool with my Cameo anymore for these tiny little letters, so I just chose papers and hand cut out the word vibes. Now I decided to go into some Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine, and this is a brand new bottle. It sprays perfectly. My other one, the sprayer clogged up. I'd had it for so long, so this is a new one. And I just want a couple of different shades of gold, and that gold is totally different than the Shimmers Gold. As you know, I'm sure everybody who's watching this knows about Heidi Swapp Gold Color Shine. It is amazing, and it is a true beautiful gold. And the Shimmers Gold that I use has more of a yellow tone to it, so I like those mix and match together. And plus I'm going to have extra shine and sparkle once it's all done. So I'm going to start to glue things down. I know that the picture is going to stay there. The more I look at the sun rays, the more I like it. I'm going to add in some thread though. And the one thing that I wish I would have done in different order was I am going to come back and do it off camera because it was kind of awkward, but stitching. I stitch with some gold thread through the sun rays, and I wish I would have done that before I stuck the picture down. So it got kind of tricky with me having to move the picture, but it works out in the end. So I added some blue thread over to the right, some pink thread over to the left there that I keep fooling with. And I just love the thread. You know, I know everybody sometimes goes through phases where they use a certain product on their page over and over again, and then all of a sudden they just don't. They get sick of it, or it goes out of style or whatever. I don't know. I've never really been one to care if something's in style or not. If I like it, I'm gonna make it work. And I don't even remember the first time I used thread, but I just love it. I love the effect it gives. I love the texture. I love the color. It just, you know, my backgrounds are usually kind of messy and artsy looking, and I love the fact that the thread is the same way. It's messy. It just looks like it kind of fell from the sky and landed there, and I don't even know why I like that. I just do. And I did add some golden yellow underneath the bottom of the picture there, so you can see it under the word island. Now when the word island dried, you know, obviously I put water on cardstock, and so it curled up the edges of the letters, and so I've got a lot of dimension going on there, so I had to really glue some of it down, but I love how it looks. There's the stitching that I did off camera. I just did 2 lines of the shiny gold thread through each of those sun rays, and I like how that turned out. So I'm going to make sure everything is nice and glued down. I got Vibes glued down, I think. And I love how this is looking. I love how I've got everything, you know, surrounding the photo, but yet it's not so overpowering that the photo is drowned out. Now I added a little bit of gesso with my finger over the word Vibes, over some of it. I'm going to come back in with a gel and just make some smudges over that. I decided not to use the pink, the lighter pink flower over there by the red one because it would cover up the thread. So I'm going to wind up putting that pink flower in a different spot here at the end. So I'm just adding in some smudges, more gelato smudging, just to kind of make it not so white down there at the bottom. And this is pink thread again. I'm just going to kind of finish off this little cluster down at the bottom. I'm coming back to this beautiful sheet, and I'm going to cut some leaves just to add a pop of green and to make the leaves look a little more realistic, or the flowers look a little more realistic, I mean. I'm going to be sad when I use up all the flowers on that paper. It's so pretty. I need to get another sheet of it if I can find it. So I want to make sure that all the colors are sort of spaced out and represented in all the clusters. I wanted to add a little pop of blue over to the right, so I fussy cut out this little blue flower that's got an orange one sort of overlapping it. And I'm going to use that over to the right. More leaves, and those are from the die cuts. I do add a little bit of journaling, talking about where we were. And that's a little circle I decided to add in that says just chillin'. These are the adorable puffy stickers that go with this collection, and I'm going to use a couple of those. This one says sunshine, and I thought that was appropriate because, you know, it's on the sunshine, and it definitely was shining. This one says the best. And then these are the woodies, which are kind of like wood veneer buttons. I'm going to use 3 of those, and they have adhesive on the back, so they stick really well. And I am going to add some glue to those puffy stickers because whenever there's paint or mixed media involved, gesso or anything like that, stickers have a really hard time sticking to that. So to make sure, I'm going to add glue to pretty much everything. I'm going to come in with a few more splatters here. I felt like I needed to bring those out a little bit more. And I did add a little cluster up at the top right. You can see there I added the pink flower and a couple other fussy cut flowers. But that's the final layout. I love how this turned out. I love the colors. I love the picture. I love this collection. I know I say this every time, but this I love how it turned out. I love how the background just kind of pops around all those beautiful colors. And I'm very happy with how this turned out. I think my mojo's back because last week it was just not there. So I love this. But let me know if you have any questions. I want to thank you guys so much for watching and for leaving your comments. Let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'll see you later.